But it's, like I said, it cracks me up to a degree because they're just so far over the top about it. You can't talk to them about it. They don't want to know, and they've got it in their head that this is their mantra. This is what they're doing, and I just want to say, do you not see we're 14 going on 15 trillion in the hole? Do you not see your state is in the hole? And you had this massive election. You took a state that was all Democrat, made it all Republican, because you wanted to get away from this policy of the same old, spend, 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 debt, debt, debt. You wanted to get out of that. Well, you elected these guys into office. They're doing it, and what happens? The union's the one who showed up. Everyone I see there is union. They all got the union shirts. They all got the union support thing. Are there any non-union people in that crowd in Wisconsin? How many union employees are there as compared to the state population? Is it 50% of the state is a union employee, or is it like 6%, 2%?
No, it's
1%?
much lower. It's much lower because if only 17% of jobs are that used to are unionized as to what compared to what it used to be, and I'm talking about like labor jobs, then obviously the majority of union jobs are now coming out of the public sector. So these are all people who work in the public sector, and even in the best of cases, your ratios for public sector employment to private sector employment are still where the public sector is in the minority. So it's still a minority of people who would be making this complaint about unions and supposed union rights. Now, if they called it privilege, me being picky, if they were talking about union privileges instead of union rights,
Yes.
if they actually understood the English language, I wouldn't be so mad about it. But they're not talking about union privilege.
I can agree with privilege.
Rights.
I can agree with privilege. Hey, now we're talking about some budget stuff and everything. Now, Republicans threatened a Senate blockade if Reid doesn't deal with the debt and spending. So they've also got that same challenge that they're facing in Washington, that you have in D.C., that you have in Indiana. Only in D.C. the Democrats haven't left. So but still, it's a fight. The idea is that we need to spend less, reel in our spending, get it under control, and it seems that the Republicans to this point get it, but it seems that the Democrats have decided they don't want any part of it.
They don't want any part of it. Let's talk about Wisconsin. Let's talk about Michael Moore. The PR hog that he is, and let's feed him. Let's put some media in the trough for him to gobble down.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Michael Moore is out there saying that the U.S. is not broke. Under what measure could the U.S. possibly not be broke?
Yeah, I want to see his calculator.
Because if you add up all of the assets, all of the physical, tangible assets in the country, they wouldn't pay off the projected debt that we have. We're not talking about the debt that we have right now. We could pay that off. We'd have to sell off quite a bit of stuff, but we could pay that off. But the projected debt, the institutional, the structural debt that we have, these hundreds of trillions of dollars over the long haul. I mean, it's ridiculous to think that we're not broke because, even if we have a couple of logs to throw on the fire right now, logs that we've borrowed from people, but even though we have a couple of logs to throw on the fire right now, there is no more logs coming. I mean, we're talking about the great cedar forest of Lebanon. We've chopped it down. We didn't replant it.
Well, everything we do now is on debt. Everything's on borrowed time, on borrowed money. Well, we don't have anything ourselves. Where's the gold? Gold's gone. Forget about gold. We don't have any. Is our fiat currency worth anything? Only as long as you don't think about it or ask about it. Then it's worth something. Don't peek behind the curtain because you're going to find it's worthless. It's not tied to anything. It's only as good as the government's word, and the government's word is not that good.
Sometime in the last couple of months, we've crossed the Rubicon. Okay, we are no longer trading below or above, I should say, above the Canadian dollar. We are now trading below it. It's pretty wild to see that a U.S. dollar will only buy you 97 cents, and Canadian. And I can remember when I was young. I think I was like 17, maybe 16. There's a very stupid movie, or good classic cinema that came out, Barbed Wire. And
Oh, barbed wire. Oh man.
you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So in this film, the federal government in the United States has gone all crazy right-wing, like Nazi / communist, whatever it was, this big fascist regime. And people aren't using Federal Reserve notes anymore as hard currency. They're using Canadian dollars. And I remember this very distinctly because my dad's like, oh, blah, blah, cold day in hell when that happens. And I'm just thinking to myself, every time I look at the exchange rates, I go, it's cold, and we're in hell.
Oh man. I remember that movie. That was an awful movie. That was horrible. Who was in that? That was that Baywatch.
Yeah.
What's her name? And they were at the bathing suit thing. Yeah. What's
Pamela Anderson.
Pam Anderson. That's it. Yeah. Yeah. The Kid Rock girlfriend, whatever she is. Yeah. Yeah.
Whoever she's with now.
Yeah. That was just awful. I remember. I think I sat halfway through it, and I was like, "You got to be kidding me, man! I got to get out of here. I'm getting dumber by the minute." Yeah.